What's happening, my friends? Welcome back. Quick breakdown. Charles Oliveira versus Mateusz Gamrot. Let's not waste any time. Get right into this. All right, so originally it was supposed to be Rafael Fiziev versus Charles Oliveira. I didn't think that was a good fight because Fiziev is a striker, knockout artist. Charles, of course, suffered that brutal knockout loss to Ilia Topuria. Didn't like that fight. That one fell through, probably to the benefit of Charles Oliveira. Now he has a guy that is primarily a grappler, Mateusz Gamrot. Better fight for Charles, certainly. Not to say that Gamrot can't knock him out, of course. He has power, you land on the chin, you can put anybody's lights out. But in the pure striking department, I'm going to give the edge to Charles Oliveira. I think Charles has some pretty stellar Muay Thai when he fights smart, controls the distance, and utilizes all of his tools. Who has the edge on the mat? Well, certainly I'm going to say the submission game has to go to Charles. Mateusz Gamrot is a pretty phenomenal wrestler, but is his wrestling good enough to put Charles in a weak position, hold him there, while maintaining dominant position to land either ground and pound or to control score points while remaining safe? Charles has a pretty active ground game in general, so I think it's going to be tricky. I think Gamrot definitely has to beat Charles up on the ground. He can't just hold position because Charles is crafty, he's wily, and he may catch you in something. Gamrot, I feel, has to make Charles work, try to fatigue him. Mateusz has great cardio and conditioning, very conditioned athlete. Use those attributes, make Charles work a lot early, because the more fatigue Charles gets, the easier it is to control him, take the fight over, and even get a finish. I feel like Charles has to be aware of this, pace himself properly, but we all know that's not really Charles' style. He just jumps into the fire right away, which is like, two-sided coin. On one hand, you win fights early that way. On the other hand, you could drop some fights fighting all reckless like that. Fighting that way against Ilia Topuria didn't work out for Charles. I know Charles has a new nickname, calling himself the Predator. Probably a window into his new mindset. Seems like an aggressive nickname, so I think Charles is going to go out there and just do what he does. I don't think he's going to be patient. Like I said, could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. So edge in striking, Charles Oliveira for me. Of course, mixed martial arts, everything that encompasses it could change that. Sometimes a wrestler could change a striker's game plan on the feet, but Charles is well-rounded. He's not just a striker. So there's a lot of layers and dynamics to this fight. I think it's a great fight. I personally think Charles has more ways to win. He can win via knockout, can win via submission, depending what Charles shows up. If Charles is diminished, if he's compromised due to that knockout, we're going to find out. Mateusz Gamrot will take over the fight if that's the case, and we will get our answer with that. If I had to pick, I'm going to go Charles Oliveira. There may be some bias there. I like him more as a fighter. Personally, like Charles. I think he's a legend of the sport. Definitely root for him. I don't think it would be a blowout. I'm going to say 60-40 with the edge going to Charles, just because I feel like he has more ways to win. He could win via KO, strikes, and he can win via submission, in my opinion. In some respects, Gamrot is tailor-made for Charles Oliveira's style. In other respects, a really competent wrestler who's aware of submission threats is a nightmare for BJJ players. I think Charles has to remain active, but fight smart, have some patience. Last thing you want to do is go out there and get clipped because your chin is compromised from your last fight where you got knocked out badly. So semi-play it safe in the first round. Just get through the first round. Then you can slowly start opening up, teep kicks, use your Muay Thai, where you should have the edge on the feet against Gamrot. I don't think Charles is going to be able to keep the fight standing. At some point, Gamrot would take him down, but that's not bad. Charles has to have an active guard and try not to take a lot of damage if he's on the bottom on his back. Because if he starts getting lit up, eating elbows, punches, he's just going to decline as the fight goes on, and Gamrot will take it over if he doesn't flat out stop him with strikes. So measured pressure, utilize all your tools, get through the first round, then you can start opening up. Remain active on the ground, especially if you're on your back. Don't let Gamrot get comfortable. Don't let him hold dominant position without there being a threat. Sweeps, arm bars, triangle chokes, leg locks. Charles has to remain active. Gamrot, I do believe, has the power to put Charles away if he lands. Most wrestlers wind up having power in the striking, just transfers that way. Charles will have the edge in striking to me, so Gamrot has to mix it up, but be careful with those takedowns. You can get caught in a guillotine choke, could get caught in a Darce choke, anaconda, you name it, sticking your head out there. If he scores the takedown, make them count, do damage. And unfortunately, when you open up with strikes, you open yourself up to being submitted or being swept. So Gamrot has to be cognizant and aware of that. I'm going to make a pick. I'm going to say, even with Charles getting stopped last fight, I'm going to lean towards Charles Oliveira 60-40. Just based on, I believe he has more tools to win. We're going to see where Charles is at this point in his career against Gamrot. If he loses badly, he might want to consider hanging it up. He's done everything there is to do in the sport. Bona fide legend, Hall of Famer. He can ride off into the sunset with his head held high. That's it, guys. Quick breakdown. This fight is going down in less than 4 hours. It's like 3:30 p.m. where I'm at right now, Eastern time. Enjoy the fight, guys. We'll come back and talk about it after it takes place as usual. Appreciate the support. First time at the channel and you enjoy the content, hit that like button, subscribe. Helps the channel grow. Thank you so much. Catch you guys on the next one. Until then, stay safe, stay blessed, my friends. Later.